Hey guys, Rico here from Chef and Guest, and I am currently sitting at Brasserie de Paris with owner Sanisha, and today we are going to talk wine and more wine.
Absolutely, that's what we're all about. So, hello everyone, welcome. We are sitting in the cellar of the restaurant Brasserie de Paris, and we're going to explore some cult French appellation wines. And today we've chosen to focus on Burgundy and on Châteauneuf-du-Pape. So, Rico, I think we can get started with a bit of Chardonnay and to explore the white wine, talk about Burgundy itself, and we'll unwind it from there.
Right.
So, Burgundy itself, it's a region fairly central to France. It is famous for two wine varietals. The white or Bourgogne Blanc would be a Chardonnay, and the red or Bourgogne Rouge would be Pinot Noir. Today we are going to try a Chardonnay. And
Beautiful color.
yes, it's got a beautiful medium to deep gold going to it. It's really the power of Chardonnay and the oak that elevates the color. And this one is a really true expression of the region. Burgundy is very much known for Chardonnays as the white wines, and this particular estate called Edouard Delaunay just makes them shine beautifully. Before we take a sip, maybe just a little chat on the actual producer. Edouard Delaunay is also known as the Phoenix of Burgundy. Why Phoenix? So Edouard Delaunay family has been owning this particular negociant producer since the late 1800s. And somewhere down the line, around the 1990s, there was a bit of an issue. I think maybe pre-credit crunch problem or just financial problem, but they were forced to sell it.
Okay.
So the family estate was no longer a family estate. After about, let's say, 15 to 20 years, the family kind of got back together and purchased the estate back. And that's why the rise or the Phoenix of Burgundy applies to this.
It's a beautiful story.
And I think it's just the proof of how family actually always will take a winery further than just a cold commercial. I have no problem with those, but the cold and commercial ones tend to focus a bit more on the budget, pardon me, rather than the quality of the wines. Now, the name September stands for the month of the harvest in Northern Hemisphere. So it's not misspelled, it's spelled in French. Don't look at that in that way. But if September goes sideways, same as here, January, February, harvest can completely fail. And in that case, you just skip a vintage. So this name, September, is a tribute to the actual month of the harvest in France.
Okay.
Now, as a Chardonnay itself, it's a delicious white wine, very much understood in South Africa as well. We know some really good producers from Robertson, Stellenbosch and throughout. It's a very promiscuous grape. It can grow anywhere and deliver good wines anywhere. And this particular one is from the greater region of Burgundy.
Ooh, lovely crisp. Lovely dry.
It's definitely a delicious white
Clean
wine.
finish.
Very much so. It shows lovely citrus notes, like a lemon peel, lovely acidity as well.
Yes.
The oak brings them together. This is not a heavily oaked wine, it's just a nicely oaked wine. It's got a good mid palate, nice weight on it, and just delicious on its own. But I think I always think about food as well.
Tasted with a lovely sea bass with a lovely dill sauce.
Spot on, spot on. Yeah, this is perfect for seafood.
A citrus dill sauce, not a creamy dill sauce, I might add.
Yeah.
That would just go beautifully with this.
Rico, I agree 100% with this. This wine just sings songs to me.
Yes.
Lovely.
Okay.
Well,
Didn't have more, I definitely finish it.
yes, definitely. Well, it's really, really good expression of Chardonnay in Burgundy. Edouard Delaunay actually makes Chardonnay from the very south of Burgundy to very north of the Chablis. And because of that, they're really versatile with the grape. They can show it medium-bodied like this one. They can show it crisp and unwooded like a Chablis, or they can show it really big, bold and ageable. And they do all of those things. And they're really good with Pinot Noirs as well. But yeah, this is definitely a delicious expression of Burgundy. And in a way, a benchmark for South Africa as well.
What's the weather in the terroir like in Burgundy?
Burgundy, well, it's a very much of a continental, so they have a solid amount of rain in the rain season. The terroir itself, if you look at the northern part of Burgundy, it's more similar to Champagne. It's more chalky, and that's why the very north Chablis is I call it champagne without the bubbles. It's got all of those notes. So it's got a lot of minerality throughout. And as you go deeper south, there's a wide variety of terroirs. It's often about the elevation, and the biggest and the best wines are normally kind of on the middle of the hill, where the sediment hasn't eroded completely, and it just has a variety of soils to work with. And Burgundy itself, on the note of the soil and the plots and the vineyards as well, is one of the oldest regions in France to have demarcated vineyards.
Yeah.
So some of those Grand Cru vineyards now have been marked by the French monks hundreds and hundreds of years before, and even now they're still showing perfectly for the wines.
Yeah.
So definitely terroir has been predetermined, and the soil is just ideal for this. Yes, delicious.
Definitely.
Well, on the note of delicious, I think it's time to explore a red wine. So this is a Châteauneuf-du-Pape, also known as the conversation starter.
Yes.
So many topics
It's a
about
very
it.
interesting region.
Very much so. So it's nestled in the French southeast, the Rhone River Valley. And this is a warmer side of France. So the wines, especially in the southern Rhone, which is where Châteauneuf is based, tend to be a little bit riper, richer, heavier, not in a bad way, and often a little bit heavier in alcohol as well. So there is a correlation with the New World wines in terms of the depth and richness, but definitely Old World approach to winemaking, and the terroir being obviously very unique. So Châteauneuf-du-Pape itself has a story of the name. So it's not difficult to pronounce for no reason, because somebody came up with a whole meaning behind it. So Châteauneuf-du-Pape, literally translated into English, means Pope's Newcastle.
Yeah.
And this is actually quite a cool name, and I always like to mention this story to the guests if they're not aware of it, because it's got a really nice story behind it. So we're talking now 14th century. Pope had a bit of an issue in Rome, so he decided to maybe vacate for a little bit and decided to move to France.
Yeah.
And for about 7 decades, the actual center where Pope would reside would be in France, in Avignon. Avignon is a city just a little bit south of currently Châteauneuf-du-Pape. This was pretty much the capital of the Pope's region.
Residence, yes.
Yes. So while he was in Avignon, he also had a little castle bought, or not a little, probably quite big castle, built for him in a little village further north. And in that castle, he would spend the summers, they say. And that castle would overlook a variety of different vineyards. The Pope and his whole team would very much encourage growing wines, making wines, because it was very much related to the Christianity's development at the time and even now. And because of that significance of Pope and the wines in that region, the whole region got renamed to Châteauneuf-du-Pape, or Pope's Newcastle.
Yeah.
Hence the name.
Yeah.
And even
Very
now,
cool name.
it really is. It really is. I always like to say it takes a few glasses to pronounce it right.
Yeah, I had to practice myself.
Not a bad practice to do. I prefer this over gym any time of the day. But also what's interesting about the bottle itself, so each and every true appellation Châteauneuf-du-Pape bottle would have Pope's insignia at the front. So we're looking at the Pope's tiara and the keys. And this is officially still allowed by the Vatican, and this is official symbol of the crest of the Châteauneuf-du-Pape.
Yeah.
So if you do see a Châteauneuf-du-Pape bottle and it's missing this, raise your eyebrow. That's all I can say.
It's special.
It is, it really is.
Special.
It really is.
So just a bit of history. I read up, and it turns out that Châteauneuf-du-Pape was the reason why French wines have their specific designations. So only champagne from Champagne can be called champagne, and so forth. Tell us a bit more about that.
That is correct. This is one of the earliest appellation of protected winemaking regions in France. The term now is AOP or AOC, which is Appellation d'Origine Protégée, but it really refers to demarcation of a certain region and then certain product and style of producing it and linking it to that particular region and then giving it a name and legislature to support it. So as you mentioned, Champagne, perfect example. We all understand it. Well, most of us. So so I come as a geek sometimes, I understand it, but I definitely very cool
Let's
thing
go
to
down
unwind.
the rabbit hole.
Indeed so Champagne is a good example. In Champagne, to call a wine a Champagne officially, you need to produce a sparkling wine in the region of Champagne using the grapes from Champagne. It needs to be made using a method champenois, which is two fermentations in the bottle. And you need to use the designated grapes, which is the Pinot Noir, Pinot Meunier, or Chardonnay. And there is certain aging requirement as well, certain time on the lees or on the yeast, and so and so and so, and then you can call it a champagne. Obviously, once you produce it, you submit it to the panel of the regional legislators and wine professionals, and they approve it as well in terms of the quality. Does it taste
strict?
Even in South Africa, but that is how you protect the quality and the expression of the region. Because if you don't do that, then anyone can make a champagne. You can add a bit of gas to a sparkling wine and call it what you want. And over the time, they crystallized into these little beautiful pockets of winemaking regions that you now know it's dedicated to that. So Châteauneuf-du-Pape is definitely one of those. And in Châteauneuf-du-Pape, the legislation obviously it's regional. It needs to be from the greater demarcated region around the village. And then the varietals, it can be up to 13. So, which is actually very uncommon.
So talk to us about the varieties, because I read up that traditionally there were 20 varieties, but then they found out a few of the varieties were actually the same. Just because of the soil that it was planted in, the characteristics were so different that they thought it was different wine varieties.
That's a very good point. So it actually often happens. It happened. It crystallized now a little bit with this whole DNA tracing and the likes. But it is at some point there was nearly 20, and then they realized there was double entries, and they cleared out the list. And that got simmered down to 13 varietals, 1-3. And oddly enough, even though this is a red blend, 6 of those approved varietals are actually white. Rarely used.
That's interesting.
It's a very cool wine. It's like, when you go to your Bordeaux, 5 red wine varietals, Cab, Merlot, etc., you know what to expect more or less. It makes sense logically. There's no white wines in there. And then you go to Burgundy, straight Chardonnay, straight Pinot Noir, no blending, and further so on. Then you go to Châteauneuf-du-Pape, and like you can do 13 grapes, 6 of them white. It's like, how does that make sense in terms of consistency? But it does, because the principal varietal will always be Grenache Noir. And even though they mentioned the 6 white varietals, if they are even used, it's 1%, 2%. Add a bit of aromatics, add a bit of body, add a bit of freshness, tune it up a little bit depending on the vintage expression and so on. But actually we are focusing on about 3 to 4 varietals driving the blend, and the dominant one is Grenache Noir. Some of the producers even do straight 100% Grenache Noir as well. That's the good example here is Domaine de Cristia, where it's 95 to 100% most of them on the Grenache Noir. So it's a cool thing to know, 13 varietals, some of them even white, but the wine is super consistent because there is a style. The area is very much expressive in its own term, in its own way, and that's Châteauneuf-du-Pape explained.
So I went down a bit of a rabbit hole, and what I found was the region is mapped out with different types of soil. So you've got your clay soil, there's a cobblestone region that produces a specific variety, and so forth. Would you care to elaborate on that, please?
Yeah, so within the region, there's a variety of parcels of soils, and the one that cobblestone one it's interesting one to mention because in particular Gabriel Meffre estate and the family, I'd say maybe in the 1950s or 60s, has pushed for planting and utilizing those soils, because until that time the very, very hard rocky soils were avoided. They thought it's going to be difficult to grow, get the right minerality into the wines, get the right yields or quality or flavor profile, and then they put it on the map. So, but it's very interesting to know that there is a different wide variety of soils in the actual region of Châteauneuf-du-Pape, and that combined with the wide variety of actual grape varietals gives a really nice wide selection of pool of ingredients to play with if you're a winemaker. So obviously you can always do it wrong, but they tend to do it right. And they also figured out which varietal prefers which soil. And this has all been kind of mapped out, and it helps elevate the quality and the consistency of the region.
Can we taste?
Absolutely. So what we've done, we have decanted this wine, and just to give it to express itself a little more. And we'll touch on the note of decanting and the glassware just now as well.
I see you pouring the same wine in different glasses.
Exactly.
Do explain, Monsieur.
So I've done that just to give it a little comparative tasting. If a wine is poured in a smaller or larger glass, how will it show its varietal traits, aromatics and flavors? So we can give it a taste first in the standard glass. This is the universal wine glass, and it's very nice for whites, it's very nice for red wines, it's not too full-bodied or too heavy. It will definitely be giving the wine fair justice in terms of enjoyment.
Quite a bold wine.
Yes, it's a big boy, definitely. This is really what Châteauneuf-du-Pape is about. It's got a very round, big profile, beautiful ageability. I'm not saying drink it with your grandkids, but you can drink it with your grandkids. And it's a wine that's just really complex, layered, dark, and ageable. And
it's bold, but it's got a lovely lingering finish as well. It's not tannin rich almost.
That is true, and this is because Grenache Noir is the main varietal. Grenache Noir doesn't tend to bring a lot of tannins into the blend. It's much more fruit forward, but in this particular region it doesn't show only fruit, it shows a lot of spice, and it can be made in a nice bold wine without that robust butchy notes around it as well. But the wine, it shows beautiful, like a red fruit spectrum, a lot of spice. There's a very, very known, notorious tasting note called garrigue, which is like a variety of different herbs that grows in the region of Rhone. And actually, you can pick up that herbaceousness to it as well. Something like when the South African wines sometimes show fynbos aromas.
Yes.
It's just that click of the whole surrounding of the vineyards showing within the wine as well. And it's the perfect winter wine, honestly. I could pair this with steaks, with game, venison, braised dishes. Oof. I don't know what you are thinking about in terms of the pairing, Rico.
Very simply, beef de bourguignon.
Oh, that's spot on. I think bourguignon beef and this get along very well. There was actually we actually paired it once with bourguignon a couple of years ago, I recall.
Yeah.
It worked perfectly.
No, and I think that would, I don't know, just pair beautifully. Specifically if you do your beef bourguignon properly, you take the time to layer your flavors, just let it stew for quite a bit of time, get the red wine essence right into your meat. That would go beautifully with this.
It's a winter classic.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, so I've poured this Châteauneuf-du-Pape in a regular size glass and then in a large format glass. So the larger glass allows for the wine to breathe a little more.
A bit more breathability.
Exactly, and when the wine is full-bodied in style, maybe young, maybe higher in tannins and just needs a bit more age, you expedite the age by exposing it to oxygen. That's why I did decant it as well, and that's why we're using a larger glass. So we can give it a taste and a sniff and see, do we pick up a bit more intensity of flavors or not?
Almost immediately softer.
Very much so. So the wine has kind of come together.
I didn't expect that.
It's a fantastic thing what the glass does to wine. It's crazy, but it's true. The exposure to oxygen softened it up.
Yes.
Softened up the tannins, mellowed it out a little bit, gave it more smoother profile. And this is perfect to soften a wine that's maybe a little bit heavier, harsher, or more ageable in a sense, if you have it in its youth. So decanting definitely did that to the flavor, and also on the aromatics. What I'm picking up here is also a little bit less alcohol on the notes, which you really want, and a bit more perfuminess and aromatics. It's not different notes per se, but they're more intense.
Yeah.
And that's really important in terms of larger glasses.
So it's just very weird. Immediately I would go with a more winter dish when it was like that. And with this, I somehow would pair a lovely grilled rack of lamb with a lovely gremolata sauce, something along those lines. Would go beautiful.
You see what the glass does.
Yes.
Changes the whole menu.
Yes.
But it's true. In this kind of profile, I do agree. It can stand up to more summery expression of red meat dishes. I think the gremolata will just bond nicely with the garrigue, that herbaceousness. It's two different wines.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So on the note of the glassware. So as I mentioned, oxygen is your friend in the short term, and it's your enemy in the long term. So as an enemy, if you have any exposure to oxygen to a wine, whether it's completely sealed bottle that actually has maybe a bit of a cork fault or a little way for the oxygen to come inside, you will end up having a very fancy vinegar eventually. And when you open in front of your friends, it's the last thing you want. But in the short run, if you expose it to oxygen, the wine softens up. And if you have it, some of the wines can be decanted for maybe 10, 15, 20 minutes. Some of them can do even an hour or two if they're a bit bolder. And then that just softens up the whole profile, brings all the flavors together. And that's why it's really, really important to consider decanting if it's wine is a bit fuller in style. I wouldn't decant light-bodied and fresh wines like Sauvignon Blanc or very light Pinot Noir, because those aromatics can actually get lost with this overly intense contact with oxygen. Also, old and mature wines, think twice. If it's really, really on the mature side, decanting is good because of the sediment, but I wouldn't decant it and leave it for long. I would just decant it and pour it and enjoy it
immediately.
That is really important. And then also, obviously, consider temperatures. Preaching, I repeat myself in daily with South Africans. Don't drink your wines too cold. Like for example, this Chardonnay, I probably would go into the fridge. We're talking 3 to 4 degrees plus. I would actually ideally have it towards 8 degrees. I think the wine can show a little bit more depth on that temperature. The cold actually shies some of the notes on the wine. It kind of contracts the wine's ability to burst in flavor. And when the wine is subtle or elegant, or not overly fruity or expressive in that sense, the cold actually works against it. Even the red wines, this will be served in the textbook room temperature. We're talking about 16 to 18 degrees plus, and that will be ideal for it. Don't keep your wines next to the coffee machine if you're a restaurateur, please.
So it's quite interesting you should mention the temperature with white wines at 8 degrees. Because, like you said, with us South Africans, we love a good chill on our palate when it comes to white wine. So I'm definitely going to try that.
Give it a go. It's really deeply inherited in the winemaking culture and wine drinking culture of South Africa, because the original wines were very expressive, aromatic, sometimes often very sweet as well. Originally, like let's say up to maybe the 70s, 95% of the wines in South Africa were semi-sweet. That was just a normal trend. So if you have this intensity of sugar, intensity of aromatics, well, you can drop a few blocks of ice and still enjoy it.
That's sacrilege.
I stand with it, but it would make sense. But as the culture of wine making changed, I think the culture of wine consumption is to change as well. And it's why it's important to start considering other factors such as the temperature, glass format, and the likes. But yeah, this is a beautiful, delicious wine. And
beautiful.
Perfect food wine. This you can have it on its own beautifully, but you can really pair it with a variety of dishes.
I'm even thinking lovely seared salmon with this.
The lovely acidity in the wine can break through the fat of the salmon, definitely.
Yes.
It's just what you do around it will connect it.
Yep.
The French like to do red wine sauces with their fish, so that would be a nice bonding component. But it's really a variety of dishes one can pair with. So as far as food and wine pairing goes, it doesn't have to be white on white, red on red.
Yeah.
It is much more complex and fun than that.
Another dish that I think would go very lovely with this is a traditional coq au vin.
It did cross my mind.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Yes, I agree 100%, Rico. Delicious.
Oof, indeed. Guys, that concludes our session at Brasserie de Paris. For all of these beautiful wines, please visit Premier Cru where you can purchase an array of lovely French and imported wines. And then for a lovely pairing of the wines that were showcased today, visit Chef and Guest, and you can have me cooking for you and pairing all of these beautiful wines for you. Over to you.
Lovely. No, thank you very much for the opportunity to talk about wines. I never miss those. And yes, it was really good to catch up. I'm always happy to work with Chef and Guest. You guys have a beautiful reputation around you. Shame I cannot poach some of you for the restaurant, but I feel
we can
your
work
independence.
something out.
We'll chat afterwards. But it was great to have you here at Brasserie. We are, as you mentioned, we have a beautiful wine list that features a lot of South African wines as well. I really love local wines, but a nice variety of French and other international wines. The food is deeply rooted in classic French traditional cuisine. We do some more contemporary dishes as well, but we like a nice variety there as well. And it's always nice to experience something that's not necessarily your ordinary food and wine experience. That's why we have our tasting menu, wine pairings. We're about to launch a new tasting menu about a week from now. And then also, obviously, in July, we'll become super French. So in July, we always do Tour de France tasting menu, a bit more rooted in the classical French cuisine, and then all the pairings of French. And normally there is a Châteauneuf-du-Pape somewhere there, I can tell you that.
I'll definitely be here for that.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Right. Thank you, guys.